Call the meeting to order and ask if you'll join us in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you for coming out on a very wet evening and day and join us. Hope everybody's homes are safe and dry at least, and at least must not be too bad because the police can still join us tonight. So we're glad to see you here and not in some flooded area.
Well, I got a little bit.
I'll bet. We get to you pretty quickly in the agenda here. We do have a few announcements before we get started. The agenda, we did ask, by the way, that if there is anyone here who is not vaccinated, that you would wear a mask, and they're available right on the table if you should need one. The agenda was posted on the website and as required now also on the door to the meeting room, and copies of the agenda, if you did not get them, are on the table in the back of the room. And people have been given instructions for how to join us virtually if they so choose to do that tonight. Meeting is being recorded. It'll be available on the township's website. Written minutes will also be available on the website after board approval. We'll have two opportunities for public comment. That can be virtual or in person. After being recognized by the chair, if it's in person, we ask you step up to the microphone, state your name and address before addressing the board. Virtually, you should have a hand raise icon with, where our manager could unmute you and recognize you to speak at the time you're recognized. Reminder to everyone, if you have a microphone, to get up close to it so everybody can hear, and especially so we can get minutes taken. With that, we'll do self-introductions of the board. Begin with Dave.
Dave Brooks.
Art Rutledge.
Bob Brown.
Jeff Reynolds.
Jeff Rogers.
Jeff Rogers is with us virtually tonight. He's away from home. To my left is Todd Ziegler, Township Manager, and with us virtually is Wendy Brown, our recording secretary, and Tim Bupp, our solicitor. With that, we can get back to the agenda. The first item would be approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 4th meeting.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? We shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative. The minutes are accepted. Next item is approval of the treasurer's report. Are there any questions to Todd or comments on the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions before we quote or bid? Bid, quote. I got later in the agenda on my mind. We shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative. The treasurer's report is approved. That brings us to opening public comments, and we'll recognize, hope I get this right, Corporal Kapuscinski. Close? Okay, would you come up and join us, please?
So I'm Corporal Kapuscinski with the Pennsylvania State Police. First, I just wanted to report the numbers since January, because I believe we haven't been represented here since before the new year. Since January, Pennsylvania State Police has responded to 649 calls for service. It doesn't include traffic stops or what we would call domestic security checks, like places where we go out to check like township buildings, schools,
Right.
calls of that nature, or house checks where residents ask us to keep an eye on their house. This is just calls for service.
And all those
To
are
our-
in the township?
Yes, all in a township. Of those calls, 114 were criminal investigations. There were 116 crashes. 84 of those crashes are in the township alone, so not on the interstate that runs
Okay.
through Shrewsbury Township. Of those crashes, 14 of those were DUI arrests, and then there were an additional 22 DUI arrests in the township
What was the time frame again?
since January 1st.
Okay.
There any further questions or any other concerns or questions you might have for me to either turn over to my station commander? Obviously, I'll take those.
Just one I might comment on. we, more than usual, it seems like get questions about complaints about speeding.
Mhm.
What we did several months ago, since we don't have our own police department, we rely on you, the state police, and that's worked very well for the township. We did go out and purchase 2 of the speed radar signs.
Okay,
So when we get a complaint, we will put those on either end of the area. We'll keep it off for the first 2 or 3 weeks to get data without the sign on, then turn it on and collect that data. We find the signs don't make too much of a difference. It might drop 1 or 2 miles an hour. What we have found in every one to date, which I guess is 4, is that there really isn't any speeding. That's I guess a perception of the people in the neighborhood, but this lets us show,
Mhm.
say, look, this is what we saw. Here's your average, here's your 85th percentile, and most of it looks pretty good. But if we got one where we saw consistent excessive speeding, would the state police be able to give us a little bit of, I guess,
Support.
support on those roads?
Yes, actually, if you call in and if you have like a specific area, call in, request us to have a presence at like an address.
And we'd have the data to back it up.
Yes,
too.
and then we can obviously set up, that would be one of those like patrol checks we have.
Good.
We can set it to reoccur. So troopers go out there on either set, if you have a preferred time or I don't know what those signboards do, if they record times a
Oh,
day.
yeah,
or
they
something. Okay.
record everything under the
Okay.
sun.
You can certainly request
Yeah.
a specific time of day or time frame.
Yeah.
And if we have an officer available, we'll send one out to,
Right.
and of course, sometimes those things are kind of dependent on the area too. Is the trooper going to be able to sit there and,
Wait for them.
or are people going to see and slow? I mean, which, to be honest with you, is kind of part of it anyway.
That's a
If they see us
deterrent.
sitting there and they slow
That's
down,
a
it's the same thing
deterrent.
as us.
That's a deterrent
So,
in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only requirement, call our station. One of the PCOs will answer and
Okay.
just give them that information.
Okay,
So,
good. Wonderful. Okay. Well, that's helpful.
because we actually have private residents do that all the time across the county.
Yeah. Good.
So.
Anybody have?
I just had a question. We had a letter here and someone suggested that when we had that radar card up that we would issue fines off of the camera. In Pennsylvania, can you do that off the radar camera?
Off of like the signboards and your radar cameras or,
Well,
as far as I know, no. The only ones that are authorized right now are the ones that we run through construction zones.
Okay,
And there is legal issues with those. In fact, the ones from what we do are also not considered like criminal offense or traffic offense. They're actually administrative. They go through that way.
okay.
Yeah, we have no police power, so.
Yeah. And that's part of that requirement is to have the police powers in order
Right.
to issue those.
Yeah, because I certified all the radars, for county down there, and you could not issue a fine off of camera.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't even know what the accuracy is, but they got to be close, but it gives us good information, good feedback to the people in the community is what we're seeing. Even the type of vehicle, they'll tell us if it's the size of a US postal truck or a tractor trailer, because we had one community kept saying what was a shortcut for trucks. And in a week, I think there was one, parcel delivery size truck that went through the neighborhood. So it gives you, good, and we're monitoring for 6 to 8 weeks typically before we move them. Yeah.
At least 6.
Yeah. So that's helpful to know we could have some support if we find that would help us.
Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions? All I can say is we support the job you did.
Well, thank you.
That you give us. We've never had a problem. We've had quick responses. When we've had a few issues at times, people in the middle of the road, soliciting or something like that, we've had good responses. So we have no complaints with the service from state
No.
police. It's adequate for us.
As far as our aspect goes, I mean, Shrewsbury Township, we have no complaints. I mean, most of our interactions with citizens of the township are overwhelmingly positive. So,
Good.
Like to hear that?
Well, you have our support. So
thank you.
We appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, take care. Ladies, take care.
Thank you very much. Stay dry. But not. All right, is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the board at this time? Phil?
I don't want to tie everybody up real long, but I have a real quick issue, and actually today is brought it even more light to me. We down at Sussex Place. Yeah, we have
Is it still there?
oh, yeah. Yes, there. It's a messy mess there, but it's there. Your ordinance requires us to leave topsoil on the job until the final landscaping's done. We've already moved 1/3 of this pile from the front of the lot to the back of the lot just a couple weeks ago. And then we piled up the topsoil from the back of the lot on top of that. And this is only phase 2. And if you look at the pictures of the houses, you can see there's very little of this topsoil that's going to go back on there. And in fact, what's happening is because of the DEP regulations, the builder has to use amended soils, which are soils that are mixed with 2/3 topsoil, 1/3 compost. It's cheaper for them to buy the soil and bring it in than it is to try to mix it on site. So they're bringing their own soil and we're not even using this soil. So right now we've got this pile sitting there. And if you look at where it is, there's a house that goes right next to that. So we can't leave it there. And if we move it to the front in phase 3, we're going to triple that pile with what we strip off of phase 3, and we'll never use it there. And I understand the concept of the ordinance for large lots, acre lots, things like that. But for these townhouse lots, it just doesn't work. And I know you can't give me relief tonight, but we need to do something in some kind of timely fashion because we've got to maintain that topsoil pile from floating away. And it's just a real problem. And it's not like we're going to get rich off of selling the topsoil and moving it out of there. It's not screened. We can't sell it as screened. It actually, is a pain in the butt to get it loaded and hauled away to somewhere. So I just want to bring your attention, let you know what our situation is and see if there's something we can work out to clean up the issue. And thank you.
I think the ordinance was originally designed after some issues with Dollar General was one, or was it before that?
Yeah, it was before that.
Okay, but Dollar General brought it to the forefront. So you're saying DEP has regulation that it has to be a combination.
That's pretty standard today for to meet your stormwater requirements. You have to replace the soil with amended soils. I've got another one, the Isert Farms project I'm working on for the developers there. And we have to mix in mushroom compost with the soil. So we're mixing 1/3 mushroom compost with topsoil to do that basin over there. I had to bring in 3 tractor trailer loads of mushroom compost. And then we had the problem when they tested the topsoil that was there, the soil scientist said it had too much clay in it, which isn't unusual around here. So we had to bring in 15 truckloads of sand to stir into it. So that's why it's cheaper just to buy amended soil. When you get done doing all that, we had to mix it and till it. And if you go over to Isert today, you'll see the whole mess is sitting there because we got rained out just before we could mix it. And that was in a basin. Trying to do this in somebody's backyard is impossible.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying, that some places it doesn't make sense to leave the dirt there. Honestly, I don't think it makes a lot of sense in bigger parking lots like Dollar General. Sooner or later, it's going to go. But, and I understand the concept for acre lots or larger lots, but for these, there's no way in the world I can use any of that, even 50 of that soil there. And I'm moving it around. We spent a whole day loading the dump truck. One machine loading, the dump truck traveling to the backside, dumping it, and the machine piling it into a pile. So I had 2 machines and a dump truck to move it from one side of the project to the other. And if we have to move this pile, it's going to be 5 days of machines and dump trucks. And I can't leave it there next to the next house that gets built.
Sure.
So I'm not in a crisis situation right now, but I just want to let you know what the situation is and see if there's something we could do about it. That's all.
Okay.
Doesn't the ordinance say something about you have to leave it on site, but so that you have enough to meet a certain depth, like 9 inches or something?
No, that's a different, there's a
Not a
line
different-
that says you have to replace 9 inches. But then the next section down says you have to leave it all on site.
Okay,
That's where and we know we have to put 9 inches back. We don't have a problem with that, but
okay,
our situation is we've got this mountain of topsoil there that we're gonna keep shuffling around the project, and there's just, the next time there's nowhere to take it to. If I move it to the other side of the phase 3, we won't be able to work.
Todd, who would be verifying if they were to purchase the soil combination?
I mean, that's done commonly. That's not uncommon in the township.
Okay, all right.
It's a lot easier for a builder to buy amended soils than it is to try to stir it up on site yourself. It really is. But especially on a job like this where it's so minimal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
okay. We'll, guess we'll have to put our heads together. I can see where you're fairly concentrated with the building, that you don't have a lot of land left to use it, and you're pulling a lot of topsoil off. So,
By the time you get done with the road and the footprint of the units, I mean, that townhouse project, that's not unusual.
Right.
There's hardly anywhere to lose that dirt. And we do have 2 rain gardens. They already have their topsoil on them.
okay.
We can't even put it in the open space where it's already done.
Could that be added to variances when we're discussing plans in the future?
Yeah, I gotta look. Is it in the, I don't even remember if it's in the saddle or the,
It's-
yeah. I'll talk to Phil. We'll put it on the October
Very good.
agenda.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to address the board at this time? No, okay, we shall move forward. We have some ordinance and resolutions to deal with, and I guess we'll just take them as they're here in the agenda. The first one is 2021, which is the PennDOT winter maintenance agreement, which I believe we agreed to last time, but now they want a
Yeah,
resolution.
last month, we actually approved the agreement, but PennDOT wants a resolution to accompany that agreement. So just the
So-
resolution portion of it.
So all we're doing is a resolution that supports the agreement we already agreed to.
Correct.
I'll make the motion to that effect, that we sign the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? All right, so the motion being to adopt the resolution approving the winter maintenance agreement, we shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative. We have approved resolution 2021-12. We have 2021-13, which is the sale of some personal property. I'll kind of yield to Todd to explain that, although you have a description in your packet. 21 items.
See if I can get rid of some of this ringing.
This is basically residual material as
No
we
promises.
emptied out buildings and kind of getting ready for the construction project for the.
Yeah,
municipal
it's
complex.
only, it's 21 items. Most of them are older file cabinets, couple older bookcases. We have an old Texaco oil cart. And then we have the big banker's table and chairs that's back here in the room.
A lot of stuff looks familiar.
Yeah. Last time we did something like this was, I think somewhere around 2013, 14, around there. And we did it by sealed bids. Jeff Reno was on the board at that time, and he can probably remember chairs and whatever went for $1 and a file cabinet for $3. And under the township code, the board can set up any policy it wishes to sell the property under a total expected revenue of $2,000. Anything over 2,000, they would have to be publicly advertised and so forth. So we could do what you have in front of you, either try to sell it by sealed bids, or, you could authorize the township to, the staff to try to sell it, through different social or like
eBay?
Facebook Marketplace, not eBay, because then you got ship.
Well-
Craigslist or something like that. Because you aren't going to get more than a couple dollars for the bookcases and so. The easiest way is going to be it would be to allow us to sell it for a fixed price.
Or fixed, or
For a fixed price on like Marketplace, Craigslist, or what have you, because otherwise, we could have maybe a couple dozen people coming into the office and wanting to look at everything and.
True.
Yeah.
All right.
as this resolution is presented, though, it's for sealed bids, right?
It is.
So we can alter that.
Yes.
So your preference would be to alter that to say that authorize disposition of the items, but by a social media type.
Right, and just that the sale price doesn't exceed $2,000 for all items combined.
What if it does? Well, you'd be setting a fixed price, so.
Well, I don't know of anything that's going to bring $1,000.
Is it
This isn't all gonna bring
2,000?
Could be a
$1,000.
text to
Is it
go.
2,000?
It's an aggregate of 2,000.
Total for all items. So what if somebody offered close to that for the conference room table or something?
If he fixes the price, we pay it.
Right.
That's right.
He can guarantee it won't be over $2,000.
But do we want to do that? Is it potentially worth any more?
I don't think it is because it's because of the age, it's some drying and cracking and
I trust your judgment.
yeah.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2021-13 after it is amended to say for fixed price being sold via social media of
Okay.
some kind. I apologize if that was too vague.
Do you want to throw in for not to exceed an aggregate of?
Yes, for a maximum total of $2,000 for all items combined. Thank you.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. The motion is to approve a resolution that would allow selling 21 items at a fixed price with the aggregate price for all those items not to exceed $2,000.
That was a very nice summary of my
Any other-
motion. Thank you.
Had time to think about it. See? Questions? We shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative, so resolution 2021-13 is approved. Next up is ordinance number 2021-02, which we have looked at a few times in the past, but this would be, this is ready for approval, correct? The sign ordinance amendment. It's been through all the process and is ready to be voted on enacting it or not. So you have a copy of it in front of you. Again, we've seen it before. It's been through all the committees. Are there questions regarding the amendment? Or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2021-02.
Thank you,
Sign
Jack.
ord, What?
Thank you.
okay.
There is a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2021-02. Are there questions before we vote? And if not, we shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative. Ordinance 2021-02 is approved. Next, we have a text amendment for solar farms, I guess, or solar power. This would be voting on to forward it to the York County Planning Commission for their recommendations before we would be able to advertise it. It's been successfully through the Planning Commission. We've had a chance to look at it. We put it on hold a while back so that Tim Bupp would have the, Solicitor Bupp would have the opportunity to attend a seminar, which he did and made some recommendations. They've been incorporated in the ordinance that is in front of you. Are there questions or comments?
Nope, I'll make a motion to forward on to York County Planning Commission.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to forward, the ordinance to York County Planning Commission for their review and recommendation. Are there any questions before we vote?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll just say that I'm curious to see what county planning's review of this ordinance looks like, because I know that they are working on their idea of a model ordinance for solar. So I'm looking forward to their input. That's all.
okay, that's a good point. I know they are working on it. You're correct. And they've seen a number of others before this one. I think ours is better than some of the others I've seen on that committee, but we'll find out. All right, any other questions? We'll vote.
Aye.
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 So we got an aye from Jeff, so 5 votes to the affirmative. Ordinance on the solar farm, I guess we'll use that term loosely, to be forwarded on to York County Planning Commission. We'll wait for their recommendation. The last item under ordinance and resolutions is the group home text amendment. We would be voting to authorize advertisement of this ordinance for a public hearing. So there are questions or comments from the board? If not, it's their motion.
I'll make a motion to advertise.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions before we vote? And we shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative, so we will be forwarding this text amendment for advertising for public hearing.
And do you want to, that public hearing will be October 6th
October 6th.
in this room during the regular board meeting.
Right. Okay. Nothing else for ordinance and resolutions, right? Have all those? So we have a few subdivision and land development. I believe these are nothing more than reapproving approvals that already exist since they're about to expire.
Yes.
I believe we could do all 3 of these with one motion.
Correct.
Okay,
I make a motion to extend the 3 subdivision land development plans. What's the standard on that, Todd? 3 months or 6?
3 months.
For 3 months. Thank you.
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second to reapprove for an additional 3 months.
Do I need to list those?
No.
Okay,
I would just say the 3 as listed in the agenda. How's that?
thank you.
Further questions? We'll vote.
Aye.
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 Votes to the affirmative, so we've given another 3 months to those 3 plans. We have the manager's report in front of us. Remember, if you had any budget requests, they're due to Todd tonight. Anything you want to emphasize, Todd?
I don't think so, no.
Any questions from anybody on the report?
Is there any discussion at all on that bill we got for the backhoe?
Not other than what I have in my report to the board. I've heard nothing else since.
Yeah, that's a good idea, just turn in the insurance company.
Yeah.
If it was insured. All right, we have an opportunity for the solicitor report on anything if he would like to.
I have no report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. But the microphones that you have sound really good tonight.
Are
Wonderful.
good.
We're getting a little feedback in here. It scares me from time to time. but,
Yeah. We,
I'm glad they're coming through loud and clear on your.
oops. We keep trying to make it a little better for those who are virtual. So we have the zoning officer code enforcement report. We have something we're going to see if we can add there, but let's see if there are any questions on the report itself first. As usual, very clear and clean report. What's good is 19 items were closed and only 5 new ones were added. So we made some progress. But as usual, Todd especially, and with some help from Keith, is keeping all this very up to date, and for permits and sewage enforcement and everything else. It's been a busy month. Any questions on that report? We're under new guidelines as of today as to how we handle our agendas. So Todd would like to interject doing something on the uniform construction code, changing basically the contractor we use, but we need to have the board's authorization to add that as an agenda item. That's a new requirement for the sunset law now. We can't add anything without the board approving it. Before I could just add it, but we can't do that now.
So you'll need to make a motion.
Right,
As well as a second, and then vote
To
add this item to the agenda.
right.
Okay.
And if that passes, then you'll take action on the agenda. And then under the new state law, this is the Sunshine Act, we then need to post our agenda, the revised agenda on our website tomorrow, as well as post it on our doors. So that's every municipality and governing body in Pennsylvania.
And that just started
Today.
Today.
September 1st.
September
Yeah.
1st. There we go.
And I'd say there's probably some reason for it, because there's some municipalities who aren't very transparent. So
True.
this is trying to force
Trying
better,
to sneak
Tra-
something
you're
through at
right.
the last minute.
some better transparency.
Alright.
So what we would be looking for is if there is a motion to add an agenda item regarding the Uniform Construction Code inspector.
I would make that motion to add Uniform Construction Code, UCC administration
I'll
to
second
the
it.
agenda. Or tonight.
Have a motion. I heard a second, so thank you both. We will just take a vote on everyone agreeing to add that to the agenda then. We shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes, so that is added to the agenda, and now we can let Todd speak to it.
All right, what you have before you is a proposed agreement from South Penn Code Consultants, which is Keith Hunnings, which you know is currently our zoning officer or building code official, commonly referred to as the BCO, as well as our sewage enforcement officer.
He does a lot.
Yes, and not just him alone. He actually owns South Penn Code Consultants and has several employees. And the new service that he actually started up today is to provide the third-party building plan reviews and inspection services, which if you recall, maybe a year and a half ago, we were with MDIA, and then we switched to Commonwealth Code inspection services. So this would be him taking over those services by Commonwealth Code. I think it's a real plus because we have greater access to Keith. So if we have building issues or plan issues, we're going to have a much easier time to contact him. Whether your third party is MDIA, Commonwealth Code, or South Penn, when it comes to the code administration through the UCC, all those fees are collected and paid directly by the applicant. So there's no financial impact to the township as a whole.
Do we have to give any notice to the current
We have to give 30 days.
30 days? Okay.
So if this is approved tonight, he'd start basically on October 1st.
Correct. So my request to the board would be to authorize the change from Commonwealth Code Inspection Services to South Penn Code Consultants for the third-party UCC inspection services.
It appeared like their fees are pretty much in line.
Pretty much right in line with
Right. So
Commonwealth Code.
there's not going to be any greater cost to residents or anything.
No, and if you recall, when we went to Commonwealth Code, it's because it cut the fees
Right.
almost in half
I remember
of
that.
what they were with MDIA.
Okay.
I make a motion to make that switch to South Penn Code Consultants LLC, effective October 1st, 2021.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to change our inspectors to South Penn Code Consultants. Further questions? We shall vote.
Aye.
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 We have 5 votes to the affirmative, so we will move forward with that. I'll have Todd move forward. I think next was the maintenance report. I did get a chance to look at all the fencing and all out there. It does look looks very good for the new parking lot and all. That's going to,
Yeah, I think once
Well-
that's paved and painted, will look really nice.
yeah, it's going to look
Where are we at, Windy Hill?
Windy Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to look very nice. How close are we to guide rail on Line Road? Maybe we don't want to go down there and look at anything right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that today's Thursday. Yesterday, I returned the approved shop drawings because they actually manufacture the, we call them the boxing gloves, the end units to the guide rails. So those have been returned. So they're getting ready to put those into production. So based on what they originally told me, 6 to 8 weeks, we're hopefully within 3 weeks in order for them to meet their 8-week deadline.
Yeah,
So-
we're a little better than halfway there, hopefully,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And Eastwood Drive, there's a pre-construction meeting on that, September
Correct.
7th, and you've been pretty diligent about getting responses from the owners.
Yeah, we have out of 38 property owners, we have 27 that have responded positively that they want to participate and have their parking areas paved in conjunction with our street. We had 3 that have said they're not interested, and there's 8 that a couple of those we're working with, getting them some more information. And the others we just haven't heard back from, so we're going to follow up with them and try to get a response before our pre-construction meeting next week.
And if they don't go along with it, they're not going to be paved, and I don't think they're going to be very happy with the result, but
I don't think so either.
we can't force the matter.
There's really
So
no way to go back and redo it either.
not to mill it and do it the way it should be done.
Now, there was one property owner that she didn't want to do the paving. She said she was going to have it concreted, but I said, well, a couple of issues just to keep in mind. First one is, once it's milled and paved, you're not going to be able to come in and actually pour your parking spaces to the full width without going at least a foot onto your neighbor's newly paved area, because you have to have a little bit of room to form, for the concrete pour. I said, and the other issue is, if you do it beforehand, we can't guarantee that it's going to match up to our grade.
You're also not getting the foundation work
Yeah.
done
Right.
that should make it last for a long time.
I mean, not that, I don't know what kind of concrete they were looking to have poured, but she was just looking at concrete, but, so I haven't had a response back from her, yes or no yet, so, because she's.
But we're moving forward, so that's good.
It's a very unique situation.
Yeah,
how the
very
the
unusual.
parking is adjacent.
Yeah.
Butted right up to the street.
Without a homeowners association.
Yeah.
I see Tony passed his
All
exams
three-
for
he
his
has all
spraying
three of his,
license.
state license now for spraying.
Wonderful.
And you have some results on the 2 speed radar.
Yes, Holly
Locations.
Road and Covington Drive. Anyone have any questions on those? As you can see,
So,
Covington Drive, the posted
Speeding
speed limit
problem.
is 25. The 85th percentile is which is recommended for the speed to be set at is 26 going eastbound and 27 going westbound.
the
So,
averages are 20 and 22, so
That's right there.
absolutely substantially under the limit.
Yeah.
Obviously, there were a few cars well over it, but not any statistically important.
That's hilarious though, for the 2 weeks or the 1 week that it was off, the 80th percentile was actually right on at 25
Mhm.
eastbound. When they turned it on, it went up a couple miles per hour.
Yeah,
Well, for Holly Road.
No, I'm sorry, I'm still looking at Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna mention on Holly Road, what the information you have is 3 weeks without the signs being activated. If you look, the 85th,
From the 2nd to the 22nd.
correct.
Okay.
The 85th percentile, speed limit's 35. Eastbound is 36. And westbound is 35. Now, what's interesting, we had just 1 week of readings since the board packets went out with the signs activated. And eastbound, that 85th percentile for that first week was 36. And westbound went up a mile, 36.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
What
but,
are, do we have a more detailed report available about what the outliers are? Most likely the residents are more
Yeah,
concerned about.
Yeah, that's, if anyone ever wants to see that, we do have those.
Yeah, if you could forward that to me at some point.
Yeah, it's for a 24-hour period for the full week. And it shows does it in increments of 1 hour.
Okay.
And it will show you the high mileage and the low mileage. And then it gives you a summary for that entire week. Now this is Holly Road, so we can probably guess what this is, but 1 to 5 miles an hour, there were 49 vehicles.
yeah,
but
that's the horse and buggy.
that's the horse and buggy, yeah. And then, for example, out of 1,577 vehicles, there were two that were 51 to 55, which was the fastest. One,
Out of 1,500,
yeah.
two that
One,
were over, okay.
one that was 46 to 50. And then there was 21, 41 to 45. So it gives you all that detail. But,
Okay.
if anyone else is interested, I can email it to you, but I'll make sure I get it to Dave.
Thank you.
I did go out and drive that road. And I told Todd
Were
earlier,
you one of the outliers?
yeah. I actually think 35 mile per hour is pretty fast for that road. It's a narrow country road that you almost have to stop if two cars pass each other. If you get a chance, you should probably drive out it
Okay.
sometime. And the horse and buggy sign, Todd, on the far end is already covered by tree branches, so you can't even see that if you're coming off of, that's Bon Air, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That wouldn't be,
Well, what's tricky about that, if you're going west, and you go by Martin's house, and then the next house, and you hit the top of the hill. If there's something slow going, right if you top that knoll,
Yeah.
you're right on.
yeah. It's it's probably not the safest road, having looked at it, but, and I think that's maybe why the speed limits, why the actual speeds are actually about 5 miles an hour under what's posted, because people realize that. The school is done. It looks good. They did a really nice job. It's a good looking building, and they put that thing up in less than a month.
Didn't take them long. We approved it Wednesday night. They had block laying Thursday morning.
Yeah. I mean, it actually is, it's closer to the road than I imagined it was going to be, but it actually looks very nice. I mean, they did
Must be worthwhile contacting this lady that lives on that road about the speed, you know, if we just give her.
Well, I
thoughts.
think we were going to wait till we get through it, and then we automatically do that. Anybody we got letters from, Todd, you will give them the results, as well as any other comments we feel, but we wanted to see what happens when school starts.
Okay.
So to get a couple weeks of that
Yeah.
before but that is sure not a road, thinking of some of the letters that we got, that the school ought to be having kids run for practice, or that people ought to be walking or running on their own. It's not a real safe road for that. Anything else, Todd, on that you had?
No.
We have the engineer's report. Any questions from that? I assume that Raven Road, which needs guide rail, is open, but that's because we didn't have, we could open that one because
Because it
we
wasn't
weren't-
a state
right,
fund.
we weren't using any state funds, and that would, that's why we can't open Line Road yet, okay? I don't think Stan is not with us, right? So we don't have an EMS report. I'm sure he's out busy tonight. And I know he was out a couple other nights. I got brief reports from him. All right, we have the status report for subdivision land development. Any questions there or on the planning commission? Zoning hearing board reports? If not, we have committees here. I don't think we had any formal committee meetings, but I know they've been busy going to meetings and so forth. We haven't done much else on the American Rescue Plan other than think about uses. I know the official map is being worked on by the consultants we're using. And I know Dave, somebody did go to the sewer committee meeting, I think.
I was unable to attend.
Right, but Ben went, so.
Give us a summary.
And we got a summary from him, so continue to thank everybody that is working on those committees. And hopefully we'll have some impact. Any questions on any of the committees for anybody? All right, we supervisors' comments, I'll just mention quickly, I did attend the LGAC meeting virtually, a planning commission training webinar virtually. I believe Sherry might have done that too as well. Signed my name 15,000 times on the loan closing a little earlier this week. So I guess we have some money in our pockets now. I didn't get any of the money though. I just signed.
Tomorrow.
And we had a pre-construction meeting that I thought was very productive on the new municipal complex actually this morning. So anyone else have comments they'd like to make? Dave?
Nope.
Jeff?
Yes, I have a comment.
We have a
August 17th, there was a Pennsylvania South Central Regional Forum, and I attended that. That was located in Grantville, pretty close to the Penn National Raceway. So that was kind of interesting to see that. Anyhow, the seminar was like 9 to 4 all day, and had a chance to meet from the region, other supervisors, township managers, financial type folks that attended. So it was pretty interesting.
Good. Excellent. Thank you for taking time to do that too.
Sure.
Need that.
They're always informative.
All right, having nothing else, we will move on to old business. I think, Todd, you just have a series of things you want to update us on, I believe.
Yeah, the first one is the sewer lien. When I put the agenda together last week, Mr. Einstein was past due, so I was going to ask board to take further action, but he's brought his account current since the agenda was prepared. So we can move on from that one. The next one is just to let you know, I don't know if I reported earlier that the multimodal grant, my understanding is that that's been submitted through Shrewsbury Borough. That's for the sidewalk improvements down on Mount Airy Road, Forest Avenue, around 83 exit. I believe that grant award is announced in November.
Is that the second time we applied for it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, the first time that we applied, the last time, I think they had, 10, 15 times more in request dollars than what they had available, so. Next item, comprehensive plan update. We had talked to New Freedom Borough. Some of you may remember many, many years ago, New Freedom Borough was part of the Southern York County Regional Planning Commission. And it's been quite a while that they have not been a participant, but their Borough Council took action and they are rejoining the Southern York County Regional Planning Commission. So they're going to be a partner with us and then the boroughs of Shrewsbury, New Freedom, Railroad and Glen Rock. And then of course, New Freedom. So it'll be the township and the 4 boroughs that are within limits of
That's
Shrewsbury
good.
Township. So, So, and in conjunction with that, if you recall, we received a $25,000 grant to help fund the comp plan update through that group. The manager at New Freedom and myself are going to be working on a grant together that's due the end of this month, September, through the York County Open Space Preservation. And they do allow funding for comp plans, recreation plans, open space plans, and so forth. So we're going to see if we can get a couple dollars through that as well. Next item, Republic Services update. Just want to let you know, since last month, things have been much improved. I'm trying to think. I don't think we had, we didn't have any missed calls. And Wendy can correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's shaking her head no. I think she agrees that we didn't have any. After the last meeting, we did have a different supervisor for the area come in and sit down and talk to me. We were more specific with the areas that we had repeated misses and so forth. So it appears that they're paying attention to those. So
That was the general idea.
yeah. So next item, municipal campus update. Chairman Rutledge mentioned we had our pre-construction meeting this morning with the general contractor. We have 3 subprimes for electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. That meeting is going to be held next week. I believe it's next Wednesday. We're going to have a pre-construction meeting with them. So the official notice to proceed will be on Monday, September 13th, and then they have 14 months to complete the work.
And the gentleman that ran the meeting today,
Yeah, the meeting today was actually, it was a pre-construction meeting with the York County Conservation
right,
District.
he was with York County Conservation, right? So that was really focused on how water was going to be controlled during and after construction and throughout it. So that was basically run by, was it Zach? Was that his?
Zach Fry.
Right.
Yes, with the York County Conservation District.
Right. So that was to make sure everybody was in line on how it was, the sequence of how it was going to take place, how it was going to be controlled. And I'm sure they'll see a lot of him on site. Right, with that, I guess we have any questions on anything on the municipal complex yet. I think the start date is the 13th of September to actually start
We're
work.
going to physically start to tear the building down.
Right, start tearing the building down on the 13th. No. Right, in conjunction with that, we have a separate contract for the Hametown Park stormwater basin, and it looks like that has a change order, which is just time extension, right?
Correct. There's no cost. It's just an extension of time for the contract. So we would need a motion to approve that.
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, which would give a time extension for the Hametown Park stormwater detention basin. And there's going to have to be a lot of interface between that contractor and the contractor doing the municipal complex. So if there are no further questions, we shall vote on that extension.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative. We have approved that extension. And I guess we do have a couple things under new business. Todd, the pension obligation, I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, every September, the state requires us to prepare what they call an MMO, the minimum municipal obligation for the township's pension plan. The total obligation for next year is $33,112.76. We do receive state aid, as does every municipality in the Commonwealth, toward the pension plans. Chairman Rutledge had asked me a question regarding state aid and the amount in previous years. I went back just for the last 3 years, and all 3 of those years, and it's typically the case, we generally receive $2,000 to $3,000 more than what our obligation is. So it's pretty rare that we contribute anything out of the general fund. But this is really a requirement of the state for us to put it before the Board of Supervisors to approve. And it's a formula, as you can see. You can't change the numbers if you want to.
So we're just looking for approval of that minimum,
Calculation,
right, the calculation for the minimum municipal obligation.
correct?
All right, is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
So second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the minimum municipal obligation for the pension plan. Any questions? We vote?
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative, so that obligation has been approved. And I think we have, this is, I guess, the second item, purchase of the dump truck is a formal approval, because to get that going, we did do some emails back and forth individually.
Swapped years.
Yeah,
This was on for 2022.
this was on for next year. And then we had the tractor and flail mower for 80,000 for this year. And the request that, through the email was to switch out 21 and 22. So move the flail mower and the tractor to next year. And then move the dump truck up 1 year. So what you have before you, we did not need to publicly advertise for bids because it was under state contract. So that state contract price for a 2020 Western Star, it's a new truck. It was a leftover 4700 SF. The total cost is $141,688. And that would be paid out of the state liquid fuels fund.
And this is a much larger truck than the one that we're replacing,
Correct. Yes.
right? And
If it wasn't raining, they were going to bring it up, but we figured no one wanted to be outside there looking at it.
so we actually have it already?
Yes.
Good. So, from everything I've seen, we were fortunate to get a very good price on it too. Now, is that with, do we have a snow plow and all that fits it, or? is
Yes.
that- Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
I said, we
have that.
bought that a year or two ago, didn't we?
Yeah, we don't need a spreader or a snow
So
plow.
so it's ready to go.
That was a pretty
Good.
expensive plow, as I recall.
We
All right.
bought 5.
Never mind. Maybe I was thinking about all of them at once.
Yeah.
So we were looking for a motion that would just formally approve that action that was taken to purchase the new dump truck.
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the 2020 Western Star dump truck.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second to approve that purchase at $141,668. No questions, we'll vote. Starting with Dave.
Sorry, I was
Thank you.
taking a break. Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative, that purchase is formally approved. And that leaves us with a truck to sell.
Yeah, what I need is authorization from the board to advertise for the sale of the 2008 GMC 5500 dump truck with the plow and the older spreader. You have photos of that there. It would be by sealed bids. They would have to be received here at the township office no later than 2 p.m. on Wednesday, September 29th. We would open the bids at that time, and we would have a recommendation for the board to grant a award for the sale of that truck at the October 6th meeting.
Okay. Questions or a motion?
Would we have any appraised price or anything so we would know if we're in the ballpark?
Well, what we would do is wait, we'll usually do that after we open the bids to see if,
Can we
it's in
reject the
line,
bids?
we have the right to reject any and all bids, correct? Yes. Now, from what I've been hearing, used vehicles have been selling quite well.
I was gonna say, this truck should sell decent.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion that we approve the sealed bid sale?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions? We shall vote.
Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative, so we have approved the sealed bid sale of the 2008 dump truck vehicle. And we have I guess it's time for the SPCA service contract again, Todd.
Did we skip one?
Did I skip something?
Regional
Yes, I
EMS?
did. Thank you. I did.
I mean, we could do SPCA first and come back to it.
We're going to stick right to this agenda. Thank you.
Good.
Just testing you. You were awake. You were sharp.
I took my break a minute ago.
Uh,
I paused on my.
As you may recall, we've had an ad hoc group meeting for some time regarding the EMS and fire service, regarding a peer study that's in the process right now. And it's been a pretty good group. It's been at least 2 people or more from each.
2 or more from each
Municipality, fire company, EMS. A little bit unwieldy. So at the last meeting was recommended and decided to shrink that group. Its sole purpose right now is basically to gather information and communicate, not really making any decisions. Todd and I have been attending for the township. Todd has also been the person that's gotten everybody together, keeps minimal minutes, gets everybody scheduled together. So I would recommend that since we only want one person, that ought to be Todd because of the other involvement he has. We thought about maybe keeping both of us, but I don't think that's fair to the other municipalities that would only have one representative. So I would recommend that we appoint Todd to that committee, assuming he's willing to accept that appointment.
Sure, I've worked with you guys.
So we were in trouble if he said no.
Should you accept this mission?
Was
That's why
that a motion, Chairman?
I will make that motion, yes, that we appoint Todd as the township representative to the Regional EMS and Fire Company Committee, for lack of a better word.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second.
I think you got a third and a fourth
I
down
think so.
there.
This should be an easy vote.
It
Vote.
should, yes. Aye.
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 5 votes to the affirmative, so we appreciate Todd continuing to take on that effort. He's pretty much the leader of that group.
Thank you for your willingness to serve, Todd.
You're welcome.
Now we move to the 2022 SPCA contract.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody likes this contract.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
I don't think we like
It
it.
unanimously gets approved every year, but we do it begrudgingly.
It is the same,
It's the exact same amount.
so the price did not
Several
increase.
Well, that's a win at least.
We
But they
crushed-
did put out a little bit of they did try and convince you that you're doing something good instead of just shoving it.
Well, you're right. Yeah, they did do a little bit of work there. You're right, to do that.
I can tell, I know I've told you guys this story before, but I've taken many feral cats, the catch and release program up there. They will spay or neuter and
Give
give
them
a
right back to
rabies
you.
shot, and they give them right back to you. But at least they're not going to continue to multiply, and they do it for $15. I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to a vet to have a
Yeah,
dog or a
it's-
cat spay or neutered.
Not even close.
Hundreds.
That is a good service.
And that's available to all township residents. Just one of a few services.
I'll just get it over with and make a motion to accept the service contract.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept the York County SPCA service contract.
What's the amount on that? 3,000?
$3,022, I think. And
33.20 and 72 cents. All right.
All right, we shall vote.
Aye.
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 We have 5 votes for the affirmative, maybe somewhat reluctantly, but it is approved. Our stormwater item disappears from the agenda, correct?
Correct.
And we have to vote to add, but I don't think we have to vote to subtract, so we can do that. You have one piece of correspondence. It's another one on Holly Road. So that's our second correspondence on that, and we'll formulate some response once we get some more time on the study. We don't have any time yet. Did schools open this week here?
I know Maryland did. I don't know.
I think they opened last week.
They've been.
So we want to get several weeks to see what school traffic does along that road too, since it's likely used as a shortcut. We'll do that. Right, we have reached the end of our agenda items, but one last time for any comment from the public, if anybody wishes to speak.
Name is Frank Kozer. I'm a resident at 12297 Jessica Lane, Glen Rock. And now that the text amendment, we've been working on this for 2 years, this whole project on this one property, but now that it's approved to go into public comment, I want to make some points that I wanted to get to talk about, but maybe Todd can, from now to the public meeting, get back to me on how these points are considered and then what's going to the public. Because a lot of this stuff pertains to the ordinance itself. But as you know, a lot of the many townships in this county and the state still have ordinances with restrictions and limitations, even though ours is very, what I want to say, minimalized that you're proposing. But there's still a lot of debate whether what is, what I want to say, discriminating or not discriminating based off of different townships. So it's up in the air. And so there's a wide variation of these ordinances, all those states, and none of them are exactly alike. So one of the things I want to talk about is in the new text amendment that you're proposing, it allows for an unlimited number of occupants based up to the square footage of each house. And, you know, the reason for this change, as you know, was due to this one property and one organization's request. So I'd like to talk about a couple of things that I think should be considered in the overall complex of approving this. And and when I estimate this house that we're talking about on off of Sacelands Road, it will allow for at least up to 34 or more occupants based off its square footage. This is more than 8 times the number of people in any household in the majority of homes in this township if you went by an average home of 4, okay? With that said, the number of gallons of water used per day in the national statistic is it's 80 to 100 gallons per person a day. And a family of 4 of a medium-sized home as a property is about 532 gallons a day. So if you multiply that out based off up to 34, you're talking over 4,000 gallons per day that property could consume. But even more conservatively, if let's say that property was at the 24 that they had proposed prior to this amendment, you're still over 3,000 gallons per day of usage. So in my opinion, and common sense would say that usage level at that rate is either a commercial or institutional use of water. So to have a property that has a well system and a public sewer and not recharge the ground with its water usage just doesn't make sense to me, okay? If you permit this change with no requirements or limitations for water usage based off this text amendment, you could have wells going dry for many homeowners on the ridge. Please note, and what I'm trying to say, that if our wells go dry from this impact of this property, water usage, and this is determined in factual evidence, I will be back not to demand that the township fix the problem, but also cover the expense of it or fix it. Because otherwise, we, the neighboring homeowners, have no choice but to pursue legal action against all parties involved, organizationally and individually. So I'm not here to say that we don't agree with the text amendment. We just feel that there should be some kind of thoughts on how this water is going to be part of that in when they apply for their permit to occupy up to that number of people. So I would like to have some communication back to how that's addressed with this process. And that's my concern. Thank you for listening to me.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who wishes to address it?
Steve Walker, 2860 Siceland Road, Glen Rock, Pennsylvania. Just wanted to add on a little bit what Frank had just addressed. We did hire a hydrogeologist, and at the proper time, you know, if the board wants a copy of it, I would submit it. And this is an official hydrogeologist, and he said that that property up there, there's no way it could support 20 people off that well at the given time. I'd like to go on record as saying that. I would submit that paperwork from approval from our attorney. Other than that, some things in the vein of neutrality and openness. I still think that the board, to achieve objectivity, this should have gone back, in my opinion, should have gone back to our own planning commission for them to review and their input. The committee that was chosen was basically a staff committee, and none of those people live in our township. The people that sit on our boards live in our township, and that's as close as you can get to ground zero on input. I hope my opinion would be respected. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Anyone else?
Just a quick question.
Yeah, can you still step? That way they can hear you.
William Richard, Slighton Road. I guess my concern is the public hearing posting. Where's that going to be posted, when, and what type of information is going to be in the posting?
It'll be posted on our website. It'll also be posted or placed in the newspapers, a legal advertisement, but it'll be posted on our website. We can email it to you. Generally what happens with any ordinance is basically what we've already emailed to you.
Okay.
It won't be anything in addition to that.
All right, and if it was just a vague snippet of what the text is, or is it the whole entire text?
No, it would be the full
That gets the
text.
whole posted?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep, sure.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once? All right, we appreciate all your comments. Is there any other thing from anybody on the board for the good of the order before we adjourn? Or is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, we all in favor of adjourning? Yes, all right.